In this video, I'm going to show you the best settings for photography with the Nikon D3300. So without wasting any time, let's get right into it. So all the settings that we're going to be talking about in this video live right in the menu here and on this page right here, the shooting menu. So all these other pages contain other information that you can customize yourself and that isn't important to the raw image quality itself. So we're going to be discussing just the shooting menu in this video because this stuff deals with actual image quality rather than more personalized stuff. So let's start right off at the top here with image quality. So to get the best quality images, what you're going to want to do is shoot in RAW. So it's an NEF file, which is Nikon's RAW format. And so what RAW does is basically saves all the information from the sensor and allows you to do a lot of changing in post. So if you like to edit your photos in like Adobe Lightroom or some sort of software like that, shooting in RAW will give you a lot more control over your image, and it will really be a higher quality image to edit in post. So shoot in RAW if you want to edit your photos in a software. Now, if you do not want to do that, you just want to take a picture and then put it right on your computer to upload to Facebook or just something along those lines, shoot in JPEG, fine. So this will be the highest quality JPEG. And a JPEG is basically the best file straight out of the camera. It's kind of a smaller file size so you can transport it and upload it easier. And it's a lot easier of a file to work with. So it's great if you just want to take a picture and then just send it to a friend or just put it on Facebook. JPEG, fine. And then if you go right up here, you can shoot in RAW and JPEG, which is a really good, convenient option if you're not sure if you want to edit the photo in Adobe Lightroom or something like that, or if you might just want to send it to a friend. You can do this, and it basically saves both separate file types of the same photo, so there'll be two photos for every photo you take, essentially. So this will use up a lot more room on your SD card, but it's a lot more convenient if you don't exactly know what you want to do while you're shooting. I'm going to go ahead and select just the RAW because that's what I personally use. And next up, image size. The reason this is blurred out is because this has to do with JPEGs. So if I go back up and choose JPEG fine, that won't be blurred anymore and you can choose a size. Now if you're doing just JPEGs and this shows up so you can select this, go with large. That is going to be the best quality image that you can get out of this camera. The full 24 megapixels of the sensor versus one of these smaller images. So go to large, it's going to be the best quality photo when you use JPEG. Next up is white balance. This right here I set at auto 99% of the time, especially if you're a beginner. Automatic white balance will do fine. And this basically controls the warmth or coolness of your image. And the camera does a pretty good job at auto. But if you want to mess around with it, you can choose one of these. So if it's a cloudy day, it's a different color temperature. It's gonna, basically just change how warm or cool the image looks. But especially for beginners, auto does a fantastic job. Next up, set picture control. This right here is almost like a filter on Instagram. It changes how the images look and kind of the colors and stuff of them. So obviously monochrome is black and white. Vivid's gonna really make the colors pop, and basically the rest of these just change the colors. I actually keep mine at neutral because this makes the image look a little bit flat, a little more basic, so that when I bring it into an editing software, I can change it, add saturation and contrast and sharpness and make it look better. So I would recommend neutral or standard for beginners. But if you want to mess around with these, you can, and just see what you like best and just mess around with them. Auto distortion control, I actually turn this on, and this basically controls the distortion from different lenses that you have on the camera. So every lens that you use is going to have sort of a different look, and it might have more vignetting around the sides, which is basically like kind of darkness around the corners, or maybe a little bit of warping if it's a really wide angle lens. The auto distortion control, if you turn that on, it'll kind of fix that all in the camera to make the image just look better out of the camera. Next up, color space. Just keep that right at sRGB and don't even worry about it. All right, and then active delighting. So this right here actually changes the image a little bit and better exposes the highlights and shadows. So if we go over to this right here, you can even see what it says right there. Improves the level of detail in highlight and shadow areas under high contrast conditions. So if you're taking a picture where there's a lot of shade and a lot of like sun as well, and it's just really high contrast, this will just help that out and help smooth things out a little bit. So I just keep that on, it just really helps out the image, and it really doesn't do anything bad to the image. So next up, noise reduction. So what this does is basically cleans up the image and makes it look less grainy and noisy. because a lot of times in dark situations, your images will look kind of noisy. So this just pretty much cleans it up right in the camera. Now I actually keep this off usually. And the reason I do that is because I can always denoise the image in an editing software. And sometimes what this does is make the image look a little bit blurry almost because it does too much processing in the camera. Because the camera doesn't know what you're shooting, it just uses an algorithm. So sometimes it just does too much and makes the image look a little blurry. So I keep that off so I can do it in my editing software. ISO sensitivity settings, I usually keep the ISO as low as possible to have the least amount of grain and noise as possible. So the lower ISO is going to be better, but also the lower ISO, the darker the image is going to be. I'm guessing you know what ISO is if you're watching this video, and if you don't, definitely look into it and kind of figure out exactly what ISO does. But a good rule of thumb is to keep this as low as you possibly can. Next up, autofocus area mode. So there's two different things right here, viewfinder and live view / movie. So viewfinder, this is going to control the type of autofocus area when you're looking down the viewfinder. And I keep this at auto area autofocus. I don't usually use the viewfinder because I mostly shoot videos, but auto area autofocus will just choose the best autofocus area to focus on basically. What we can also do is choose single point autofocus, and just a little point will show up on the viewfinder that you can move around with these buttons here, and it'll basically focus on exactly what that point is on. And then for live view movie, this is where I go to either wide area or face priority. So wide area autofocus will have just a nice big area that'll look for anything inside of the area to focus on. So this is good for most shooting. You know, it'll just find whatever's closest most of the time to the camera and just focus on it as long as it's in that area. But then face priority is good if you're shooting images of people like portraits. This will be really good because it'll just keep the face in focus no matter what. Next up, built-in autofocus illuminator. That's actually blurred out, but just turn that off if you have the choice to. That's just kind of an annoying light on the front of the camera. I just turn that off. Next up, metering. This right here, I keep this at matrix metering. And what metering is basically the camera finding what exposure to set everything at. So with matrix metering, it looks over the whole screen and basically decides from that a good middle ground of exposure of, brightness and darkness to set everything at. Now, if you choose one of these, like center weighted metering, it'll look at just the center of the image, and whatever's at the very middle will be properly exposed, but stuff around it might be totally way too dark or way too bright, which could be a good thing depending on your situation, but I usually use matrix metering because it is a good middle ground and it'll keep most everything properly exposed. Next up, flash control for built-in flash. I do not use the built-in flash. I think it really just makes the images look bad and really flat. So I don't really just change any of this because I don't use the built-in flash. So you can probably just leave that right at TTL. But again, the built-in flash really just doesn't look that good in most situations, and I just wouldn't even recommend using it. And the next thing is movie settings, which I'm actually not gonna go over in this video. I'm gonna make a whole separate video about the best video settings. So it might be up already, I'm not exactly sure, but definitely subscribe and stay tuned for that video if you're interested in video settings. So that wraps it up for the best photography settings with the Nikon D3300. I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely leave a comment if you have any questions, and feel free to check out my other videos as well. I have some more videos about this camera as well as a bunch of Sony cameras, other Nikon cameras. So feel free to check out my channel and subscribe if you'd like to, and go down and like this video if you enjoyed it. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.